Mic check. Looking good. Cool, cool, cool. Let's have. Player J, what's up, dude? You tell that I wasn't ready to go live yet. Just doing all this shit. Get ready for going live, and then Kenny was like, I need to go. I need to quit early. It's like, damn it. I'm supposed to have like another 20 minutes of prep. What's I gonna do? Let's see, okay, so I have to put this guy a specific way. Yeah, Kenny was like, my allergies. So, apparently, I was gonna like build this guy before I do it live. So I usually don't like doing build stuff on stream. It's not very exciting to watch. Does he have two different? Oh, he has two different feet, so I don't have to use the topper. Let's see, that's cool. But I'm gonna use the topper, so I don't need this. And his head. And number 2. What are you? Visor. Oh yes, I see. Okay. I got this guy from Artel years ago. Actually, do I need this visor? and I was like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, I'm never gonna have a reason to use this guy because he's like a Romunda bounty hunter kind of guy. Um, and so with the Masters of the Maelstrom, one of the models in the unit is that lady who's like the master of the fleet. Um, and I really do not want to assemble or paint that model because it's fucking stupid. Um, so I was like, oh, I'll just use this guy as like a stand-in. Some other one for the head. I'll use that. Do not like this. This. And just yeah, last night I was messing around in Blender trying to pose that Gundam model. It was just taking forever, and then like there's just levels of additional levels of jank. Um, that I was not previously seen. So that shit was like mega frustrating me. With that gap a little bit. Okay. And, the arms. Oh yeah, dude, I was just like losing my mind because there was like this one part that I was like, dude, why is I maybe I need to find. I used to have like this plugin in Blender on my other computer that was good for like cutting shapes, but I had to download it from somewhere else or like one of the plugin shops that's like built into Blender or whatever. Because I was like, I need to edit this shape, and the lack of like easy editing tools in Blender is just like, bro, it's so frustrating sometimes. I'm like, all I want to do is just like cut a flat plane off of this shape, and it's just like impossible. No. God damn it. What is this thing? This key is being really annoying. Damn. I was trying too fast. So the keyhole is all plugged up now. There's the raid. What's up? Still say thank you for that raid, even though I knew it was coming. What's going on, everybody? There he is. Go get some rest, Kenny. Gotcha. Kalini, what's up, dude? Welcome, everybody. We're going to work on my red Corsairs. I was planning on having this this little dude built, but I had to go on early, so bear with me. And I gotta find a couple little bits for my converted Chaos Sorcerer before we get to painting. I was saying earlier, the Masters of the Maelstrom unit. I do not like the model for the Master of the Fleet Lady. And I also just didn't want to build it because it's like a billion pieces, and I have this thing where I really don't like it when I have to include mortals in my Chaos Space Marines. Like, I play Chaos Space Marines to play Chaos Space Marines, not like 3 Chaos Space Marines and 50,000 fucking cultist jabronis. So I'm not a huge fan of this unit. Parts of it are cool. It's really make a lot of sense on that type of base. Like this lizard guy is cool. Like, this is the type of mortal that I would want in my Chaos Space Marines, like this like sick alien mercenary. But when it comes to just like normal human hobos, I'm not really a fan of them in my Chaos. Yo, thanks for the follow. So I have this guy. All that to say, I have this guy that I've got from RTLW years ago, who's this Necromunda guy. And I was like, you know, it's such a cool little model, but I'm never going to get to use it for anything. So I'll just make this my master of the fleet. Yeah, fuck Erebus. Nobody likes him. Absolutely zero apologies for any word bear fans. If you like the word bears, you're just wrong. You should stop. Reevaluate your life. I will say I'm sorry for the bit. I said all that. I didn't even read that you were like, I'm a big fan of word bears. But fuck the word bears has definitely been a bit on the channel for a long time. They're the like plain bagel, no toppings of chaos. Is he still around? I maybe I'm misremembering, but I kind of thought that he died in the last book of the Horus Heresy. But I don't know. It's been a while since I read it. Where's my good magnets? Good magnets. Where are you? Oh, he's still alive? Fuck that guy. Oh, I remember they had him like last second slasher villain. He fucking kills Loken, right? Yeah, well, the Ultramarines are cool, so it's warranted to like them. Okay, cool. Boom. Okay. All right, now I need two little things for my Renegade Chaos Sorcerer guy because he's already been kind of converted up um, to be a Chaos Sorcerer. So I need something for this part right here. I did have a banner, like this like banner pole with skulls hanging off of it, but the part was so fragile that it was just breaking over and over again. So I just like flushed that out, and we'll find a different thing to put up there. And he needs a little dingly thing off of this little totem dealy do. I don't know what else to call it. He's got like a wrist strap, so we need like an Apple Watch of Chaos to hang off of there. Um, let's see, we've got some screws here. And we've got this thing, but I feel like that's going to be extra fragile too. Not really anything to hang off with that thing. Let's see. Oh, just turn those screws right on the ground, out of the box. Let's see if there's anything on our Red Raiders sprue. Can I put this cape anywhere? It's like a piece of... This is all just like the extra weapons and stuff that I didn't use in the first batch. Maybe check this one. Trying to see what I can do without Crack and open the bits box if I can help it. Oh yeah, I can give this guy a cool sword. That's nice. This model does have a power sword. Uh, and I'm not using the apothecary because I already have a different model. It's a chaos apothecary dude. A while back. Yeah, nothing really to use off of that one. Let's see. Check my spruce. A little casting, it's kind of Black Legion-y, but I don't want that. Looks like I'm gonna get into this. Red Raiders are really cool set of models. They don't really have extra pieces. The Yarr shows the sprue that has extra parts. I do. It's actually sitting in my mailbox. I've just been too lazy to go get it today. That's kind of what we're going to be working on next week. And just trying to get some work done. I'm probably not going to play my Chaos Space Marines for another month or so. So I've been working on my little like crazy Great Knights army. I'm playing that start of the month at San Diego Classic, and then I've got Mountain West at the end of May. So I think I might play my Chaos for that one just to give me enough time to paint all this stuff. I don't want to rush through like Huron and my other characters. I don't want to rush through the Defiler. I'll take my time with it. So plus, like, I'm sure everything about my list building and everything is going to change because of the 11th edition. So I'm not like super attached to playing these guys fast. I keep forgetting what I'm supposed to be looking for. Need a pendant or something, and then I need something to stick on top of this. Oh. That's why I like to have all this stuff done before I'm supposed to stream. But if I want to roll early, is I messed up my steez here. Kind of the issue is that like most of my Bitsbox stuff is not chaos. really seeing anything. Yep, I don't know. What I need to do is I need to find like a lot of stuff like that I'm really lacking. I think of much of it. Bunch of little like skulls and yes, doodad. Mhm. I mean, 10th edition is fine. The only like consistent, the only constant that is unequivocally true at any and all times 40k nerds is they will piss and moan about anything for any reason, even if it's dope. People are still going to bitch about it for whatever dumb reason. 10th edition is fine. I don't like. There's some stuff that I have gripes about, sure, but it's not bad by any stretch. Um, in fact, it's quite a bit better than editions have been in the past. Oh, what is this little guy? Ooh, I could use this. This is kind of actually neat. All right, found a thing. Good, awesome. Now we have to find the second thing. Um, that being said, a lot of people are ready for 10th edition to be over, just because it's kind of old. You know, that's always what happens at the end of an edition cycle. Is we've been playing the same edition for 3 years, and people are just like, I kind of want the new shiny thing, which is fair. It's valid. But again, doesn't mean it's a bad edition. It's fine. And really, 11th edition is going to be built on the bones of 10th edition. So it's going to be more like a 10.2, 10.5, or like a 10 2.0, whatever you want to equate that to. Because we're not doing an index reset. A lot of stuff is going to function similarly, if not exactly the same, uh, as it does now. This work. Let's play with that. Not exactly what it wants, but it's. Oh, I can also wait to pull the new Demon Prince. Also been waiting for opportunity. Paint him. Extra cool. So I made this guy. We'll focus here. There we go. The crab. Took some existing assets and did a lot of work in Blender to turn this guy into a really cool Red Corsairs Demon Prince. So this is Mr. Grabs. So I wanted multiple Demon Princes. Ooh, this could be interesting. I don't know if it'll work. How would I make this work? Yeah, like, let's see. Let's do maybe turn this into maybe. Look at that. So part of this whole thing is like I wanted to avoid using resin pieces. They would keep breaking. So with the plastic, use the plastic glue to bond all this into a single part. Makes it, not that it won't break, but it makes it a lot stronger than the resin. Okay. Then I found this little guy. This can connect to this little guy, totem. Don't touch it. Let's set. Get this guy attached to his base. And we are pretty much ready for painting. Yeah, points cost has been a problem. That's one thing I hope that we do get a kind of a big change. The new edition is I am really not a fan of Oath of Moment for Space Marines as their army rule because of kind of what you just mentioned, where a lot of stuff has this like really preposterous points cost to it because Oath of Moment exists, and it's like even on units that they can't really even like use it all that well. It's like, bro, I think my infiltrators aren't gonna be OP because of Oath of Moment if they were like 70 points. Now you can make an argument that like intercessors with their new rule definitely make use of Oath of Moment, right? It's like it's a lot of shots. It's a crazy amount of shots with their bolters. But like the infiltrators, bolters fucking suck. And units like Reavers and such like that, where it's like, yeah, they're getting reroll all hits and +1 to wound, but like their guns suck and their melee weapons suck. So like they really should be quite a bit cheaper. Kind of hope they change it with this new edition. Just like give us an army rule that has more flavor. Make like better play expression out of lists. Deathwatch is cool, yeah. That's another army that I was supposed to work on this year. It just keeps like getting pushed and pushed and pushed. It is kind of supposed. Deathwatch is supposed to be my sort of like my new edition, new army, and so I have everything for it. It's just like getting the time to assemble everything and paint everything is hard to find. Okay, so got the compressor going, getting that ready. While I wait for that, talk a little bit about this. So, saw the Demon Prince, very cool. Just grabs some eBay Rescue Raptors. I love this design of Raptors. I wish that they had kept this design going into the plastic eras, because now we've had two separate releases of Raptors sprues, and they're fucking stupid. They look so ugly. They're so lame. And these guys are so much cooler by comparison. We've got our Sorcerer, which we talked about. These guys, the new Red Raiders kit. Most of these are as is, just because the models are so sick. They come with really cool options, a lot of character. Each one I really like this guy. Um, this dude, squad leader, dripped out. Got his saber looking cool. And then this guy is from Necromunda, who's like this Necromunda bounty hunter who's like a fallen space marine. Looking sick. So I wanted to add him in there. And we've got Chosen, and every single one of these has been customized. So we've got, based off the Red Raider kit, this guy. We've got this dude who's the squad leader. He used a model from Tortuga Bay. That's a Legion of the Damned model, but we've got it converted up to be Red Corsairs. Just looking sick with his crazy Chaos Claw. We've got this guy. I don't even remember where I got this model from, but he's just been in a drawer for like years. So I converted him up. They're sick Chosen. Trying to keep with the whole Red Corsairs thing of kind of being less like cults Chaos Space Marines and more like renegade traders. So I've been trying to have things like more clean armor, but with still like chaos accoutrement that go with it. I need to like clean that piece. Totally missed. There's like sprue marks on it. Glad I was showing these off, or I would have missed that. This guy, another model from Tortuga Bay, like Renegade Tech Marine. There's the Warpsmith, but I also kind of wanted guys that are sort of like, maybe this guy's like an aspiring Warpsmith, but so he's like a Chosen right now, and like maybe one day he'll get promoted to being a full Warpsmith. Yeah, I mean, like 40K is not a cheap hobby. It was never meant to be a cheap hobby. Um, Most hobbies in general are not meant to be cheap. There's something to do with expendable income. So if you don't have a lot of expendable income, then hobbies in general are sort of like walled off, and I know that sucks. Definitely been there before. Um, so if you really want to play 40K, if you really enjoy the hobby aspect of it, there's lots of ways to make 40K cheaper. Um, I think one of the easiest ways is buying used. There's so many websites out there where you could just buy trade-in models that are like gently used and strip them, repaint them, break them down, convert them, do all sorts of stuff. It's way cheaper than retail plastic. What was next? Oh yeah, we've got our Chaos Lord slash Raid Leader. It's just a basic Raid Leader kit with some alternate parts. And then the Masters of the Maelstrom. So we already saw this dude. Our Executioner guy is basically unchanged. He looks sick by himself. We've got the Alligator and Doggo looking sick. Got my Sorcerer. He's got a name. I don't remember what it is off the top of my head, but grabbed this off of a Doctor Strange from Marvel Crisis Protocol that I was never going to use. And so now my Sorcerer is like casting some, Arcane Circle spell. Can I just like add on to that? It'll be a really cool thing to paint effects on. We've got Huron. Mostly unchanged because his model is sick, but I gave him a different head with some sculpting in there just to kind of like tie it in a little bit better. So he's got that, Terminator half of his face still on there for the character. And then to keep with the memes, he's got his cat. Printed out a little cat. Last edition, there was a bit that the way that Huron worked in ninth edition is basically like he had his little pet, the Hamadryas, which is like some kind of weird like lizard dog alien thing that's like cat sized. You know, whatever. We call it a cat. And what you would do is you would sacrifice it once per game, and it would let Huron cast like any psychic power that Chaos Space Marines had access to, for like that one time only deal, which was kind of a cool little tech piece to do in the middle of a game where you'd be like, oh man, I could really use the Death Hex right here, you know, like, oh man, if I could just, you know, cast Smite real quick, finish this model off, you know, it'd get me this many points, whatever. Um, so he'd eat his cat to cast the spell. And so I found like a little cat model, put it on his base, painted it like a real cat. And so now that we've got the new Huron, got a new cat, so he can eat his cat. He doesn't cast psychic powers anymore, unfortunately. And then we've got the what are these guys called? Trader something or other. Where's my phone? It's like a trader commissar, but I don't think that's what he's actually called. Game. Trader enforcer. Yeah, yeah. So he's like a trader commissar with an ogrin. So again, this guy's from Necromunda, an ogrin that kind of works the sewers, but he's got this like full body suit that kind of looks like a spacesuit. So I was like, oh, that's cool. We can use him as because the Red Corsairs are space pirates. They probably do a lot of boarding actions, right? So he's got his like vacuum suit on, and then we've got the Trader Enforcer, and I'm using the head that comes with his buddy. So he's got like the Snoopy cap and the vacuum suit faceplate that he can just put on if he needs to, just to make him a little bit more custom for the Red Corsairs guys. So yeah, it's kind of the extent of the stuff that I'll be adding, other than the Defiler. So we'll work on the Defiler next week, but I do want to get to painting these guys as sort of like our stream project, so that I can paint on my other army more efficiently in my own time. Is that Bushman? Thanks for following. Yeah, but I mean, like, it's a different game, right? So if you want to play 40K, you have to go in knowing that like 40K is a grand army game. Um, and so being like, well, Blood Bowl is only $80 to get the rule book and one team, because like you only need one team to play the game. It's a sort of a false equivalency, right? Can't ever really compare skirmish games to 40K. Yeah, like I get it. Like I said, I've been there. There were times when I was younger, and I've been interested in 40K since I was 12 years old, and there was times when I was younger where I was just like, I want this. I want it so bad because I love 40K and I just want to get more 40K and I want to like change my army and all this stuff. And you just literally don't have the money for it, for whatever reason. I know that sucks, but it's not really on the company to make their stuff cheaper because it's hard for you to afford. That sounds kind of mean, but that is the truth of it, right? priming these bad boys. Just using regular black primer from Pro. Some good stuff. I don't normally do this, but I am going to add like a tiny amount of thinner and a tiny amount of flow improver, just because when I'm priming stuff that's more than just one squad of models, the primer does have a tendency to sort of start drying out and like clogging. And that's most paints. It's not a dig. Most primers are kind of like that because you're doing a lot of constant airflow on a whole bunch of models in a row. And so kind of my move is I'll go thin with the first pass of primer and come back with some black ink. And because the primer is there, it doesn't have to be 100% opaque to be a good primer coat. And I'll let the ink fill in the negative spots. It also helps get into a lot of the hard to reach places whilst maintaining a really, really thin coat. I see a lot of times people will find their models and there's like this one spot, like, oh, right in there underneath the backpack, it's just like it's not getting in there, you know? And they just blast it with paint, and that causes issues. And airbrush and rattle can both. So I like to just do like a quick pass in the thin coat of this primer, and then let that ink fill in the blanks, so to speak. Just because it's so thin, it'll get in there without adding too much more paint. Plus, it helps it dry faster. We're talking about efficiency when we're working through stuff, especially like army painting, squad painting. Having this thinner coat is going to dry faster, especially when we're working in an assembly line. I go through everything before I come back to the squad, so I'll have more than enough time to fully dry out. This guy, I might be able to build him with resin is a little tricky, especially before you look at this, the movements out there, there's actually a ton of mold release, and I always clean off my stuff really, really good with like alcohol and dish soap when I buy from them, but sometimes it's not quite enough. So I want to make sure that there's no like areas where the paint doesn't want to like stick to it. Get a nice good coverage. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and just paint over this. Yeah, I planned on making this guy red Corsairs a while ago, and I have since altered my recipe for how I want to paint the reds. And since I airbrushed all of it, I can just airbrush right over this. Not gonna lose any detail. Keep checking. Tight, dude. Day one painting journey. Welcome. The long and winding road, dude. The road that never ends. Come on, airbrush. Here we go. No, what are you doing? Awesome, dude. What are you working on? What was your first version of the painting on? Oh, it's out. Black primer. So, general priming tips. I'm gonna constantly keep the airbrush moving. I constantly keep the model moving, so you're never spraying on any one angle or area. Too much paint, it starts to get too wet, which can lead to the air from your airbrush pushing that wet paint around and kind of spider webbing. Don't want that. Also, one of the reasons that I do kind of like a thinned out primer for doing big batches like this, or if it's just gonna blast real quick and move on, and then come back with a second color with the black ink we're talking about, which will fill in all the negative spaces. This guy from Tortuga has some kind of residue on him. Need to beat up a little bit. Hopefully that dries. Won't be too big of a problem. Important thing to note if you see the model doing this, his resin pieces, Just stop. Just like get your spray down a little bit there, and then just stop and let that dry. Because if you try to keep spraying, um, you're gonna like build up way too much wet paint, and it'll glob up in there. So just let it dry. All we're trying to do right now with this primer is just give subsequent layers of paint like some teeth to bite onto the smooth plastic. Doesn't have to be 100% opaque to be a good primer coat. Oh, no, I gotta refill for the Raptors. And load up. Here, put these metal ones, slam them into the table. Get the background to load up a little bit more. Been a little heavier on prime for these guys because they're metal. Really want to set them up for success so that we feel they won't chip. Sometimes it's unavoidable with metal models, but if you get a good primer coat, it's solid, and you use tools like varnishes, lock all those in, and protect that paint really damn good. Perhaps. Yeah, it was so much fun to do the whole process of sculpting on, getting just exactly perfect the way that I wanted it to be. I actually ended up printing out 3 different ones, and then I have to go back and make some changes. Like the prints didn't fail, um, but I was like, okay, I'm realizing that scale's a little off. I need to change some things. Like I was realizing that these antennas on his head were like they were originally a little bit longer, and they immediately fucking like broke off. So I was like, well, can't have that. So I like made those a little bit shorter, the stouter, changed up the 2 little sub arms that he's got. So it was a really fun process to get to that. It's gonna be super fun to paint him up. You know, the airbrush really get that priming residue out of there. Good. And I use this Daily Brownie black ink. It's acrylic ink, so water soluble, functions very, very similarly to our acrylic paints. It's just very, very densely pigmented, whilst also being very thin, and works great. Actually, need to turn my air down a little bit because it will just stuff is so thin that it'll just blast out of there. So you can see instantly like laying down into all the little details, all the nooks and crannies like super easily. Very fast, very thin. So our rules that I talked about earlier of constantly keeping the model moving and the airbrush moving definitely apply here. This is going to go in a little bit more wet. Another reason that I turned my air down. Oh, See, that's what I mean. Gotta be careful because it's so thin. Just like flicked some out of the hopper on my desk. And this stuff also takes a little bit longer to dry. I have found that by doing a primer than this one, I get a much better finish to paint on top of, much smoother finish, and it's truer black. The primer from Profil is more like a charcoal, whereas this is more of a true black. It's nice. And um, it also has been really, really good for setting up models uh, to not rub paint off or chip throughout the painting process. So it takes a little bit longer than just spraying them with primer, but I think it's worth the extra step. Oogly, oh, what is up, dude? Seen you in forever. Chilling in Canada. I'm gonna be chilling in Canada later this year. At a tournament up in Edmonton. Not flip the airbrush. Flip it. Come out of the paint pot. Kind of a bad habit I have because I developed it doing so many like singular models for the stream where I'll like have very small amounts of paint in the airbrush, and when I'm only working on one guy with a really small amount of paint, I don't have to worry about using like a more flicky motion the airbrush. But with this, I will just like spit paint out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the tournament up there. I've never been to a tournament in Canada. It's going to be the new edition, which looks exciting. And it's going to be one of like the first tournaments of the edition too. So it's going to be like the Wild West. West, like who knows what's going to be there? Like, just did it again. God dang it. Yeah. Been there, dude. Been there. And I've had one intentional hiatus and one unintentional hiatus. I guess technically I've had more than that. Well, I guess three. So like two unintentional, one intentional. I was out for like 6 months last year. Gotcha. have to really watch out. These raptors are so top heavy. Even with I put like a washer and a magnet on the bottom. Steel washer, still super top heavy. Okay. After this, I'm just gonna focus on one model. Um, just because I do need to keep myself to a slightly shorter schedule of this. And doing all of this priming does take its toll on the old thinking hand. Probably just like pick one of the Red Raiders, chosen, and just focus on him. Because next week is going to be Defiler time. That's going to be like the big stream project. These guys are still on the back burner until next month. Cool. Alright, so the Yarr's cleaned up. And with all these guys put away into our little project tray to the side. Just transition to working on one guy. Really scrub it out. Pigment is so dense, just gets into all the little bits down the bottom of the airbrush cup. Let's look at this guy. So make sure it's extra good and dry. Clean up my hands. Turn the fan in this direction. Dry it faster. Look here. We're off to the races. So previously, I've been doing all my reds the old-fashioned way. 3 different red paints, just built out that way. But more recently, I have switched over to doing a pre-shade using inks to get our reds. Scarlet? Yeah. Crimson, that's what I So yeah, we're gonna do a really quick gray. Grabbing some neutral gray. If I have any left in this bottle. Quick gray, easy peasy. Just quick rinse that. We don't need to do it perfectly for this. Then we're going to get out some of our white ink. And Daily Roundy stuff is good. I just don't happen to have any white Daily Roundy, so I got this because it was at the game store. It's exactly the same stuff. Acrylic ink. This one's just from AK. Go back. Just talking about how we're doing our reds. So we did some neutral gray. Now we're going to do some white. Don't need very much paint. Just doing a very, very quick pre-shade. This last one I'm mostly focusing on very high angle. Okay. I'll go and get a little bit closer. To focus some of those big areas, the head, shoulders, knees, and toes. As we do with Space Marines. Cool. Clean this out. Went from like something super heavy to this physical whiplash. Finding a playlist that I like everything on with no copyright has been so tricky. It's been trying to find things that aren't just like the generic, house music. Okay. So I got my two inks here, some pure magenta and some crimson. We'll start off with our magenta. And basically what we're going to do is just apply a couple of color filters. Really, really thin. Okay, so with this one, I'm going to turn the model upside down. And I'm going to focus these downward angles with magenta. So that our shadows really nice and tinted. And some of that deeper red color in there. It's really good. Just a teensy bit up top, teeny bit. Then we'll go to our crimson. Okay. Okay. Really, really thin coat back and forth. I'm going to build this up naturally because what's going to happen out the gate is the white is going to kind of pinkify our red. So we build up enough of a color filter. But I don't want to just blast it. Okay. It's it build up too wet too quickly. Getting into more of the red, getting into the pink. It's good. Add red. Let's load up some more. I don't know what Doomfire Magenta is. Maybe from it's a paint company that I don't know about. Gonna give this some air out of the airbrush, help this kind of dry out, help it solidify a little bit. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna just set that off the side here so that, and we'll let that dry out because the next thing I want to do is one final color filter, but I want that to get good and dry first. Oh, I haven't used Citadel paints in years and years and years. Typically, if you want a pink, starting with magenta is fine. But also like just a nice red, nice full-bodied red, and just add white to it. It's going to be more of a pastel pink. So you might have to play around with adding small, very, very, very small amounts of other colors in. Like you can use off-whites, you can maybe use a little bit of yellows. Lots and lots of air. The airbrush help it travel faster. Oh, it's a contrast paint. First off, stop using those all together. Okay, so we're still a little bit in that realm of little magenta, little pinky to it. It's fine. It's gonna shade down. So we want it to be fairly bright. So the next thing is I'm just gonna take a more normal red. I like this red oxide a lot, and we're just gonna put like just one guy, probably just like literally one and a half drops of this in there, and then fit it out into a color filter. A lot of thinner. Go improver. Yes, I have paints from a bunch of different ranges, but the majority of my collection is still pro acryl. Just nothing's really topped them. So you see we've got our like extra super duper thin paint. And again, just very gently Start building that up from a high angle. Not totally on top of it, just a higher angle. Do want to creep it down a little bit. Just trying to get that perfect sort of like vermilion red. Because it is a little bit different than like bold pyro red is more like fire truck red. So I think that is just about perfect. Just a teensy tiny little bit of that reddish orange content is like pushing it right to where we want it. And so again, with one model, a little bit inefficient with that style. But if we're talking like, oh, I got to paint like 20, 30 models, very efficient. You can play with that to change the values of your reds. Like you can, like maybe if you want deeper shadows, switch to a blue or a purple for your first coat, and then switch to a bright red. Like that can create a really cool transition. Work some more orange into it. So, for example, with our Demon Prince, who is got all this like crab shell stuff. I'm gonna end up working more orangey, like salmon colors, pastel out some of those colors as they get closer to the tips of the little like carapace spikes and all that, just to give it a like a more fleshier vibe. But I'm still gonna start off with that same crimson color. Yeah, so I made this in Blender. I had some existing assets that I bashed together, and then I did a ton of sculpting and tweaking and changing and a bunch of other stuff. Um, so it's like 50% existing stuff, 50% my sculpting, and I wanted something that was like really unique. I have one Demon Prince that's the very old metal Demon Prince. I love that model. He's so cool. Um, and on that one, I sculpted. He's got a like a pirate hat, like a demonic pirate hat. And so for that one, I was like, I want to do something. It's again like themed around the Red Corsair stuff. So he's like crab man. One thing I'm not a super huge fan of with these inks is they do dry with a somewhat shiny finish. So typically, when I'm sure that they're good to dry, I'll slap a matte varnish on them. Um, I typically varnish all of my models after this step regardless, just because it sets them up for the painting process where I don't have to worry about the paint scratching or rubbing off as I go through the whole painting process. Because I don't really paint display pieces, I paint game pieces. So uh, I end up varnishing multiple times throughout the painting process. Make sure that my paint doesn't like age with light exposure, doesn't rub off and chip, all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, dude, Deathwatch is like crazy. Um, One of the reasons that I want to paint that army for this new edition is because of that, where like I can kind of treat every guy sort of like a pseudo character model. But yeah, you do kind of have to be picky and choosy how you build them because if you go too hard, then like yeah, every guy becomes crazy amount of stuff that you have to end up painting. Airbrush clean. Let's... Okay. Still a little wet. So, really happy with how that looks. It's a little bit of a trick, but straight to real life. Really, really happy with how that workout or work up turns out. So after cutting in the other colors, doing some oil washes and all that stuff throughout the painting process, it is going to dull that red down just enough to be that perfect um, crimson color for the red Corsairs. It gets a lot of value. It's a lot easier to build value in your red using these inks than it is with like 3 different red paints, because for whatever reason those red paints typically layer into each other so subtly that you don't get a whole lot of like gradient effect, a lot of contrast with those. All right, so we'll be back on Tuesday with Defiler time, and that'll be our stream project for until we finish it. Yeah, so that's why I think the play for if you're painting red is to do the workup with the inks. Okay, I'm ready to get out of here. Some dinner. So let's find somebody to raid. Oh, Wicked Minis. Let's raid them. All right, yeah. So we'll be back on Tuesday, Defiler time. Get on over this raid. And I'll see y'all later.